Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. I speak about different topics in my channel. So if you're interested in all that, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Today I have a new topic. We're going to be talking about celebrities' death, and we're going to be talking about Sharon Tatum. She was unalived by Mason Charles Manson. I don't know his damn name, and I don't care. And his followers. This one really kind of, it didn't affect me in a way, but it was kind of like crazy. If you know about Charles Manson, you know who I'm talking about exactly. I know I'm moving my laptop while I'm talking, but I'm trying to find best lighting. So he had a lot of followers, and some of them were women. And I really have never been interested in his case, just because I don't believe in all that cult thing stuff. I've seen other people talk about it, but his case was something that a lot of people I think know, and like I said, some of his followers were women, and the day they got caught, they still were behind him to. If I may be wrong, don't quote me on this, but I did hear that they were women that were defending him and said that he didn't do anything. They were basically writing for him. Mind you, they knew that they're about to go to prison for the rest of their lives. I think some of them are out, and some of them are out, I think it's because of their age, how old they were when they committed the crime. Some of them came from good money. So, like I said, do not quote me on that, just because I've never actually looked through his case. Just because, like I said, I'm really not interested in him, and he's just a waste of garbage who hopefully is burning in hell. So let's go ahead and get started with this story. So, Sharon Marie Tate was born on January 24th of 1933 in Dallas, Texas. The oldest of three daughters to Colonel Paul James Tate, a United States Army intelligence officer, and his wife Doris Gamillo at 6 months of age. Tate won the Miss Teeny Tot of Dallas pageant, but her parents had no show business aspirations for their daughter. Paul Tate was promoted and transferred several times. By the age of 16, Tate had lived in six cities and reportedly found it difficult to maintain friendship. Her family described her as a shy and lacking in self-confidence. As an adult, Tate commented that people would misinterpret her shyness as fullness until they knew her better. Sharon attended South Shaver Elementary in Pasadena, Texas, which I did not know that. Through 1955, Chief Joseph Junior High School, not in middle school, from September 1955 to June 1958, and Columbia High School in Richmond, Washington, from September 1958 to October 1959. In El Paso, Texas, she attended Irving High School from late fall 1959 to April 1960, and then Vince American High School in Vincennes, Italy, from April 1960 to graduation on June 61. I'm assuming that having a family or dad or mom in the Army or Navy and having to move, it sounds like it's a very difficult situation, because you do not want to make any friends, because you know sooner or later you're going to have to pick up and move because of what your parents do. So when you're a child, you tend to keep it to yourself, because you don't want to build friendship or even a relationship knowing that this is not going to be that long. As she matured, people commented on Tatum's appearance. She began entering beauty pageants and winning the title Miss Richmond in Washington in 1959 at the age of 16. She spoke her admission to study psychiatry and her admission to compete in the Miss Washington pageant in 1960. However, before she could do it either, her father was transferred to Italy, with her family relocating to Vermont. Tate learned that she had become a local celebrity owing to the publication of her photograph of her in a swimsuit on the cover of the military newspaper Star and Stripe. She discovered a kinship with other students at the American school she attended and nearly visited, recognizing that the background and feeling of separation were similar to her own, and for the first time in her life began to form lasting friendships. Tate and her friends became interested in the film of Hemingway, Adventure of Young Man, which was being made nearly with Paul Heyman, Susan Stamberg, and Richard Barmer, and obtained parts as film extra. Barmer noticed Tate in the group, introduced himself, and the two dated during the production of the film, with Barmer encouraging Tate to pursue a film career. And in 1960, Tate was employed by the singer Pat Boone and appeared with him in an episode of the television series The Pat Boone Cherry Showroom, which was filmed in Venice. Later that year, when Marbles was being filmed near Vermont, Tate was once again hired as an extra. Actor Jack Palance was impressed by her appearance and attitude. Although her role was too small to judge her talent, he arranged a screen test for her in Rome, but this did not lead to the further work. Tate returned to the United States alone, saying that she wanted to further her studies but tried to find film work. After a few months, Dorothy Tate, who featured her for her daughter, safely suffered a nervous breakdown, and her daughter was pursued to return to Italy. The family returned to the United States in 1962, and Tate moved to Los Angeles, where she contacted Richard Arbour agent Harold Gatsby. After the first meeting, Gatsby agreed to represent her and the rescue work for her in television and magazine advisement in 1963. He introduced her to Martin Ransford, director of Filmway Inc., who signed her to a 7-year contract. She was considered for the role of Billy Joe Burley on CBS sitcom Peacock Junction. For Ransford believed that she lacked confidence in the role was given to Jimmy Reilly. Ransford gave Tate small parts in Minister Ed and the Beverly Hillbillies to help her gain experience, but was unwilling to allow her to play a more substantial role. Mr. Ransford did not want the audience to see me until I was ready, Tate quoted in the 1961 article in Playboy. During this time, Tate met French actor Philippe Fauquet and began a relationship with him in 1963. They became engaged, but their relationship was volatile and they frequently argued. Career pursuits drove them apart, and they broke up the next year in 1964. In 1964, she met Jay Sebring, a former sailor who had established himself as a leading hairstylist in Hollywood. Tate later said that Sebring's nature was especially gentle, but when he proposed marriage, she declined. She said that she would retire from acting as soon as she married, and that at the time she intended to focus on her career. And in 1964, Tate made a screen test for Sam Peckinpah, opposite of Steve McCurry, for the film The Kankakee Kid. Ransford and Peckinpah agreed that Tate's timely and lack of experience would cause her to flounder in such a large part, and she was rejected in favor of Tuesday Weld. She continued to gain experience with minor television appearances, and after she auditioned unsuccessfully for the role of Lisa in the film version of the song Music, Ransford gave Tate walk-on roles in two motion pictures of which he was the producer, The Modernization of Emily and the Saint-Pierre, in late of 1965. Ransford finally gave Tate her first major role in a motion picture in the film Eye of the Devil, starring David Nye, Deborah Quirk, and Donald Pleasant, and David Herrings. Tate and Sabrina traveled into London, prepared for film, where she met the Alexandrine Wiccan high priest and high priestess Alex and Maxine Slender. Meanwhile, as part of Ransford's promotion of Tate, he arranged the production of a short documentary called All Eyes on Sharon Tate to be released at the same time as an Eye of the Devil is included in an interview with Eye of the Devil director J. Lee Thompson, who expressed his intentional doubt about Tatum's potential with the comment, quote, We even agreed that if after the first 2 weeks Sharon was not quite making it, we will put her back in cold storage, end quote. But added that he soon realized Tate was tremendously exciting. Tate played Alderley at Wish, who extra a mystery power over a landlord, played by Nevia, and his wife, played by Carrie. Although she did not have as many lines as the other actors, Tate's performance was considered critical to the film, and she was required more than the other cast members to set an ethereal tone. Nevaeh described her as a great discoverer, and Carrie said that with a responsible amount of luck, Tate would be great success. Interviews Tate's comment on her good fortune in working with such a professional in her first film, and said that she had learned a lot about acting simply by watching Carrie at work. Much of the film took place in France, and Serene returned to Los Angeles to fulfill his business obligation. After filming, Tate remained in London, where she inserted herself in the fashion world and nightclubs. Around this time, she met Roman Polanski. Tate and Polanski later agreed that neither of them had been impressed by the other when they first met. Polanski was playing the fearless vampire killers, which was being incorporated by Resentful, and had decided that he wanted the redhead actress Jaylee S. John for the female lead. Ransford insists that Polanski cast Tate, and after meeting with her, Polanski agreed that she was suitable in the condition she had wore a red wig during film. The company traveled to Italy for filming, where Tate's fluent Italian proved useful in communication with the local crew members. A perfectionist, Polanski had a little patience with experienced Tate, and said in an interview that one scene had required 17 takes before he was satisfied. In addition to directing, Polanski also played one of the main characters, a Gilly's young man who is intrigued by Tate's character and begins a romance with her. As the film progressed, Polanski praised her performance, and her confidence grew. They began a relationship, and Tate moved to Polanski's London apartment after film end. Jay Sabrine traveled to London, where he hisses Tate on meeting Polanski. Although friends later said he was devastated, he befriended Polanski and remained in Tate's close confidant. Polanski later commented that Sabrine was a lonely and insulted person who viewed Tate and his family as his family. Tate returned to the United States to film Don't Make Waves with Tony Cruz, leaving Polanski in London. Tate played the role of Malibu in the film with intent to capitalize in the popularity of beach movies at the time, as well as the music of such artists the Beach Boys and Jane and Dean. Tate's character, billed by Morton Grubby Meyer publicly as Malibu Queen of the Surf, worked little more than a bikini for the most of the film. Disappointed with the film, she began secretly referring to herself as Sexy Little Me before the film release. Tate featured in major publishing campaign for Carpenter Sunscreen. Film opened to poor reviews and Metacritic ticket sales, and Tate was quoted as confident to a report, "It is a terrible movie," before adding, "Sometimes I say things I shouldn't, and I guess I'm too outspoken." Polanski returned to the United States and was contracted by the head of Paramount Pictures, Robert Evans, to direct and write the screenplay for Rosemary Baby, which was based on Erin Levy novel of the same name. Polanski later admitted that he had wanted Tatum to star in the film and had hoped that someone would suggest her, as if he felt incorporated to make the suggestion himself. The producers did not suggest Tatum, and Mia Farrow was cast. A frequent visitor to the set, Tatum was photographed there by Isqui, and the resulting photographs generated considerable publicity for both Tatum and the film. In March of 1967, article about Tatum in Playboy began, "This is the year that Sharon Tate happens." It includes 6 nude or particularly nude photos taken by Roman Polanski during film of the Fearless Vampire Killers. Tate was Cosmetic, Eye of the Devil, and The Fearless Vampire Killers were each due for release. She had been cast to play a major role in the screenplay of Valley of the Dolls, one of all-time bestseller. The film version was highly publicized, and attempts in Will Tate acknowledged that such promotion roles should further her career. She confided to Polanski that she did not need either the book or the script. Patty Duck, Barbara Pinkes, and Judy Garland were cast as the other leads. Susan Harvard replaced Garland a few weeks later when she was dismissed. Director Mark Robinson was highly critical of the three principal actresses, but according to Doug, directed most of his criticisms at Tate. Doug later said that Robson continually treated Tate like an incredibly, which she definitely was not, and she was very attentive and sensitive to this treatment. Polanski later quoted Robinson as saying to him, "That is a great girl you're living with. Few actors have her kind of volunteering. She got a great future." Interviews during production, Tate expressed indignity for her character. Jennifer North, an experienced actress, admit only for her body. Some magazine comment that Tate was viewed similarly in look, published an unfruitful article, but the three lead actors describing Tate as hopelessly stupid and vain stater. Tate, Duke, and Parkinson developed a close friendship, then continued after the competition of the film. During the shooting of Valley of the Dolls, Tate confessed to Parkinson that she was madly in love with Polanski. "Yes, there is no doubt that Roman is the man in my life," Tate was quoted as saying in the New York Times Sunday. So now we're going to talk about what happened and her death. So on August 8th of 1969, Tate entertained actress John Pett for lunch at her home. Confiding in her disappointment at Polanski's delay in returning from London, Polanski telephoned her that day. Her younger sister Deborah also called to ask if her boyfriend and another friend could pick up sandal that Sharon had brought for Deborah in Europe. Tate declined, offering to have them over another time. Later that evening, she reportedly dined at El Coy Cafe with Jay Sabrine, Waski Frinksby, and Abigail Flora, returning at about 10:30 p.m. Shortly after midnight, Sabrine and Ferguson Flogger and Tate and her unborn son were murdered by the members of the Mason family cult. Tate was the last of the victims to die, despite her pleas that the family take her with them so she couldn't give birth. Their bodies were discovered the following morning by Tate's housekeeper, Winfred Champ. Police arrived at the scene to find a young man shot to death in his car, and the driver, later defined as Stephen Perrin. Inside the house, the bodies of Tate and Sabrina were found hanged on a support beam in the living room. A long rope tied around each of their necks connected them in the front lawn by their bodies of Frinksy and Woldley. All of the victims except Perrin had been stabbed numerous times. The coroner report for Tate's note that she had been stabbed 16 times and that 5 of the wounds were in and of themselves fatally. Addition to the coroner's inquiries found that Tate was still alive when she hanged with the rope, but she died instantly from a massive hemorrhage. Police took the only survivor at the address, the property caretaker William Gaster, and for questioning. Gaster lived in the guest house that was located on the property a short distance from the house. He was questioned and submitted to a polygraph test and stated that Perrin had visited him at approximately 11:30 p.m. and left shortly after. He told police that he had no involvement in the murder and did not know anything that could help the investigation, and he was personally released. Pollux was informed of the murder and returned to Los Angeles, where police questioned him about his wife and her friends in Wednesday of August 13. Tate was interred in the Holy Cross Cemetery, Coal City, California, with her son Paul Richard Polanski in her arms. Named posthumously for his grandfather's, Sabrine's funeral took place later that same day. The funeral was scheduled several hours apart to allow mature friends to attend. Life devoted a lengthy article to the murders and featured photographs of the crime scene. Polanski was interviewed for the article and allowed himself to be photographed at the entrance of the house, next to the front door with the word "pig" still visible, written in Tate's blood. He was widely criticized for the photo shoot, but he argued that he wanted to know who was responsible, was willing to shock the magazine readers, and the hope that someone would come forward information. Curiously, about the victims led to the release of Tatum's film, which achieved greater popularity than they had intentionally run. Some newspapers began to speculate about the motive of the murders. Some published photographs of Tatum were alleged to be taken at a satanic ritual, but were a fact prediction photographs from Eye of the Devil. Friends spoke out against the portrayal of Tate by some elements of the media. And in September 1969, members of the Mason family were arrested, unrelated charges, eventually leading authorities to break through on the Tatum case, as well as they explained that the motive of the murder was not identically of the victims, but rather than the house of the address, which has previously been rented to record producer Terry Merker in Queens. Since of Mason in 1994, the house was demolished and a new house was constructed on the side. So that is a sad story of her. I think this one is, like I said, is really sad. When what they were trying to do with the word pig, I think they were trying to blame it on African Americans. I'm not for sure, but it's just sad and disgusting how you could sit there and kill innocent people, and especially an innocent woman who is pregnant. Like, I could not imagine what those detectives saw there that day. It's probably something that they have been in their minds for the rest of their lives. But guys, that is it for today. I will see you soon with another video, and I hope you have a good day. Bye.